So we did get the release of some new patch notes, and it's including a lot of new weapon balancing, and in this video we're mainly focusing on the SMG changes and what are the 5 best SMGs to be using inside Warzone after this update has taken place. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post gameplay content of some of these changes over there as well. So I do just want to quickly run through the patch notes and then we'll show you what the actual changes were as well within this video. And first of all, we've got the OTS-9 and then we've got the TEC-9, and those are the only 2 SMGs that were changed with this update. And obviously they got significant changes because it was mainly to their damage profiles, and of course most people were saying these 2 guns were pretty overpowered in terms of TTK anyway. Now, when it comes to the OTS-9, the first thing they changed was the recoil, so they said they increased the recoil, but this isn't too much of an issue because in that less than 10 meter range that you were using the OTS-9, and most people were using it within that range anyway, the recoil increase is not really going to make too much of a difference, so I don't really want to focus too much on that. But we did get a maximum damage decrease from 34 to 31, a minimum damage decrease from 20 to 21, a headshot multiplier increase from 1.35 to 1.52, and then a neck multiplier decrease from 1.35 down to 1. So as you can see, there's a lot of damage changes there to pretty much every single damage profile on this gun. They've done a similar thing on the TEC-9 as well, so the maximum damage has been decreased from 26 to 24, the minimum damage decreased down from 24 to 22, and the neck multiplier has been increased from 1 to 1.1. So as you can see, they made some damage changes to these weapons, but let's take a look at what this means in game. So first I actually want to show you the OTS-9, and that is because this is the most popular one out of the 2 weapons, and as you can see on the True Game Data website, it has the old damage profile right here. So its head damage is 45, neck damage 45, chest 34, stomach 34, and extremities 30. And on screen just now, right next to this, you will see the new damage profile for the OTS-9. The headshot damage is now 47 because the headshot multipliers have been increased. The neck damage is 31 because there's no neck multiplier on this anymore. The chest shot damage is 31, the stomach damage is 31, and the extremities is now 27. And that is for that close range between 0 and 7.7 meters. I didn't really want to test anything further than this. Now the damage on every other range will change as well, but most people only use the TEC-9 within this range, and because the damage does drop off significantly, there's no real need to use this past 10 meters anyway. So regardless of what those changes were, it's not really going to make too much of a difference on how you can use this weapon. Now moving on into the changes with the TEC-9. Now something they never mentioned in the patch notes is that they were actually talking about the full auto repeater barrel. That's what they changed the damage on. They didn't change the damage on the rest of the weapon because no one really used that anyway as semi-automatic. So on screen just now, what you'll see is a before and after for the damage profile for its previous damage as well as what it is now. Now the before damage we took from jgod's video because we never actually had any testing on this. And then the now damage is of course what we calculated ourselves. So on screen just now you will see this new profile, and previously the headshot damage was 32-30, now it's 30-27. The neck damage is 26-24 and now it's 26-24. So I think that's intentional to give you a good multiplier for your neck shots. The chest shots is previously it was 26-24, now it's 24-22. The stomach damage was 26-24 and now it's 24-22, and then the extremities previously was 23-21 and now it's 21-19. So as you can see, if you're landing any extremity shots, you are going to be struggling a little bit with this weapon, and obviously it does have a lot less damage than it did before. So now with all those damage profiles out of the way, now what does this actually mean for the TTKs of the SMGs and how has that changed? So what we're going to look at is the close range TTK for some of the more popular SMGs that are currently inside Warzone, and we're going to compare it to these new changes. Now on screen just now you will see the new TTK values with the TEC-9 and the OTS-9 at the top with its new values, and then we've got the Bullfrog, the MAC10, the Cold War MP5 and the Modern Warfare MP5. In white is the standard chest shot TTK, in yellow is one headshot mixed in with chest shots. So that is the 2 TTKs we're going to compare here, just to see how landing a single headshot might affect your time to kill. So with the TEC-9, the TTK now is 610, so before it was about 540, and that is if you're landing only chest shots. Now if you do land a headshot, it doesn't change the TTK. The OTS-9 now has a 561 millisecond TTK, and before it was down at 490. but now you do need to land one headshot to get that 490 millisecond TTK, which is still doable inside a game of Warzone, especially at close range anyway. Then for the Bullfrog, of course, this is just a standard TTK for the Bullfrog. Nothing's changed with this weapon, so it's 639 milliseconds. And then if you do land a headshot, you get closer to 560 milliseconds. Then we have the MAC10 at 658 milliseconds, including the open bolt delay. And then again, if you do land one headshot, it's 590. Cold War MP5 is 562. One headshot gets you 491. And then Modern Warfare MP5 is 526. And one headshot doesn't really change anything. So as you can see, the Modern Warfare MP5 has the best TTK out of all of these weapons on screen just now if you don't land any headshots. Now, if you do land headshots, the Cold War MP5 and the OTS-9 do extremely well. And even without landing a headshot, they do still have very competitive TTKs at close range. Before we move on from this, I do want to quickly show you one other thing, and that is basically what is the fastest killing SMG in the game right now. So on screen just now, what you'll see is the True Game Data website. Now keep in mind, the Cold War MP5 TTK is very similar, so almost identical to the OTS-9. So if you're trying to compare it, the Cold War MP5 previously is pretty much the same as the OTS-9. So as you can see here, the fastest killing SMG in the game, so we've got the Fennec on the screen, we've got the AUG from Modern Warfare with the 5.56 ammo, we've also got it with the standard ammo. And we're comparing all these weapons right here, of course, and the fastest killing SMG is the Modern Warfare AUG at 487 milliseconds. Now, this is a significant difference to what we've got with the Cold War MP5 and with the OTS-9. But what I would say is the Modern Warfare AUG has one of the worst movements when it comes to SMGs. But what we'll take a look at now is what is the best 5 SMGs to use inside Warzone. So like I said, if you're just looking for that raw TTK, you just want the fastest killing gun, you don't care about anything else, then the Modern Warfare AUG is a pretty decent option. It's just not got the movement there to back the weapon up, so that is the reason why I still think this is not going to make it to that top 5 list. But I'll have a build here on screen just now. So it's the monolithic suppressor, 5mm laser, ultralight hollow stock, the rear grip is a stipple grip tape, and then the 32 round mags. And this is the build I would use if personally I was going to use the Modern Warfare AUG, and it's mainly just built for movement, to be completely honest. And another really good honorable mention has to be the AMP, man. This gun still has like a 560 millisecond TTK at close range if you're landing all chest shots. And this is like a sidearm pistol. You could take it with tempered, you could take it with ghost, you could take it with restock, and you don't really need to actually use an SMG at all because it is full auto as well. So this gun is extremely good, and like I said, it is an honorable mention for sure. Now getting into the actual top 5 list now, at number 5 we have the Cold War MP5. Now I do think the Cold War MP5 will get used a bit more within this new meta. That's because it has a very similar TTK to the OTS-9 now, and it's just going to be a matter of personal preference. But even after that recoil increase on the OTS-9, I still think that'll be a slightly better weapon, to be completely honest with you. So for this build, the agency suppressor on the Cold War MP5 is a must because it actually helps with that vertical recoil, and as we all know, the Cold War MP5's recoil is terrible to control. So you do get the sound suppression of the bullet velocity and all that kind of stuff with it as well. I do use the bruiser grip. You can use the field agent foregrip if you struggle with the recoil still, but I just think the better movement and hip fire that you get with the bruiser grip is definitely a great option. You could also go for the Tiger Team Spotlight as well if you really wanted to, but personally my favourite is the bruiser grip. The standing 50 round drum is the best option for the Cold War MP5. Then I use the Serpent grip for a faster ADS time, and it offsets the agency suppressor. And then the Raider stock is for the faster strafing speed and the faster sprint to fire times. At number 4, we actually have the Modern Warfare MP5, and if you think back to what I was talking about with the TTKs, this is actually a really good TTK, and it's probably like the second best TTK out of all of the SMGs in the game right now when it comes to chest shots only. So you do want to use the monolithic integral suppressor, the 5mm laser for the better hip fire accuracy and sprint to fire speeds, the 45 round mags because that 30 round mag doesn't give you any more damage bonuses anymore, and to be honest, 30 rounds is not enough for Warzone anyway. The stipple grip tape is for the faster aim down sight time, faster sprint to fire speeds, and then the collapsible stock for the faster movement. And again, we're building the Modern Warfare guns for faster movement so they can compete at those closer ranges with the Cold War weapons. Now, it's hard to make them compete because they just don't have the movement capabilities, and that is why we're building them from movement as best as we possibly can. At number 3, we have a gun that wasn't touched with this update, and that is the MAC10. And the MAC10 is a great SMG. It's got great movement. It's got a pretty decent TTK at close range, and it still does perform extremely well at those mid ranges as well because it's got really clean iron sights, and the recoil is not insane. So for the best build, you do want to use the agency suppressor for the sound suppression, bullet velocity, recoil control, damage range, the task force barrel for the faster strafing speeds. You also do get bullet velocity with this as well. Then the Raider stock for the faster strafing speeds and sprint to fire. I use the Serpent Wrap for the faster ADS time, and that's to offset the magazine as well as the suppressor, but you can swap that out for a Tiger Tree Spotlight or a Bruiser Grip. That's up to personal preference. And then the Stanag 53 round drum, because this is the best attachment when it comes to magazines for the MAC10. At number 2, we have the OTS-9 still. It's still got a very competitive TTK, even if you don't land any of those headshots. If you land a headshot, you get back to the same TTK as we had before, which is very handy to know. But even if you're just hitting all chest shots, you'll still get a very good time to kill with this gun. So that's why I do think it's still going to be number 2. Also, the movement on this gun is absolutely insane, so you can't pass that up either because that is an important stat for SMGs. So for the build, nothing really much has changed. Now, I know a lot of people like to use the Bruiser Grip, but this is my personal favorite build. You can build this whatever way you've been using it already. The GRU suppressor is going to give you that bullet velocity and the recoil control. The task force barrel is going to con your recoil a little bit, but it gives you that strafing speed, which you definitely need. I use the KGB skeletal stock. I do think it's the best stock for the OTS-9. And then we've got the Serpent Wrap. Again, you can swap that out for a Tiger Tree Spotlight, a Bruiser Grip, whatever you want. And then the 40 round fast mags, which are an absolute must on the OTS-9, especially in that close range gunfights. You want to reload really quick. But like I said, with that recoil increase is not enough to make you choose against this weapon because it's still very competitive otherwise. So I definitely just keep that in mind. And last but not least, at number 1, we have the Bullfrog. Now, the Bullfrog is a super easy SMG to use. It's got a very competitive TTK. It's not quite as fast as the OTS or the Cold War MP5, but it's faster than the MAC10, and it has no open bolt delay and is more accurate. So if you do want to use probably the best SMG in the game, I think it's going to be the Bullfrog right now. The best build, in my opinion, is the GRU suppressor for the sound suppression, bullet velocity, recoil control, and damage range. Task force barrel is going to give you the strafing speeds and the bullet velocity. The KGB skeletal stock is definitely the best stock in my opinion. Some people do use the PKM. Either or are good options. I just prefer the faster sprint to fire that you get with the KGB skeletal stock. Then I use the Serpent Wrap for a faster ADS time, and I also use the Bruiser Grip as well. But this is the build that I've gotten used to using, and I don't really think you need a 65 round mag for even quads, for example. 50 rounds is more than enough. And because this gun is so accurate, you'll be getting very close to your theoretical TTK, especially when you're going to be missing shots with some of the other weapons, and this gun has fairly good range on it, and on top of that it makes a really good sniper support, so there's a lot of things going for the Bullfrog right now. So if you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We will be posting gameplay over there as well, and we will be having a guide on the assault rifle changes later on today as well. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.